Howdy folks, Galaxy Burner here. Just wanted to say that even though back when I put up the Thrall vs. Undasta video, there hasn't been much content on my channel, there hasn't been any content actually, because I wasn't quite ready to start a full-fledged channel at that point. Thrall was more of an experiment for me to dip my feet with this medium and try to get a feel for it. That being said, over the course of the last several months, I've been compiling footage and ideas to turn into content for the near future and beyond. First of which is likely to be a series of MMO review/comparison videos, which will most likely be called Worlds Beyond. Simply because I like the idea of suggesting that there's other places to explore. I was originally going to call Worlds Beyond Warcraft, but I thought that might have been too much of a jab, so I decided to just go with Worlds Beyond. I'll be using World of Warcraft as a medium point simply because of the popularity of World of Warcraft, and most MMO players have at least tried WoW at one point or another. This gives me a central point that I can use to compare with other MMOs and bounce ideas back and forth off of. The next thing I'm working on is a small machinima series based on one of my Warcraft characters. It's kind of meant as a parody/tribute to Age of Conan and World of Warcraft kind of mixed together. Should be a lot of fun to do. That is kind of going on a day-by-day basis. Depending on how I feel about it, I may continue doing it. I may elaborate. I have other characters that I might consider for their own stories as well. Pretty much depends on how I feel about it. If not, I'll stop the series and that'll be the end of it. The next thing is old games, or older games. I'm intrigued by the idea of breathing new life back into them. Maybe they didn't get the attention they deserved, or, maybe it's just a list of games that I personally enjoy for one reason or another. I kind of like to get into that. I'd be doing a couple of videos about various different games. Maybe some games that are not necessarily old, but, just games I've had my eye on, or games that I'm playing currently. For example, Lords of Shadow, or even Legacy of Kain is another one I'm playing right now. Given the fact that Hearthstone has just recently gone into open beta, I think this is also a good time for me to do a little bit of Hearthstone content. Mostly just like deck builds and how things operate, pretty much how I play. Or, I'm not the best player, but I do have a couple of decks on the side that I would like to discuss and talk about why the choices are there and whatnot. I think that might be fun to do as well. Last on my list, but not necessarily the last thing I'm planning on ever doing, is a small class/boss guides section. It'll be covering various games, but I'll be starting with Neverwinter. And the main reason for that is I have a large amount of footage for Neverwinter, and the game is relatively easy for people to pick up and play. So I'll be covering classes and bosses that I've already done, or things that I'm familiar with. I've been playing Neverwinter since the launch, so it kind of gives me a bit of a starting point to get that series up and going. There'll obviously be more games to come as I progress further and bring those games into light. Probably Secret World is one that would be within the relative future, as well as Lord of the Rings Online and Age of Conan are a couple other ones that will probably have some coverage at some point. DCU is one that I'm also looking at, although most of my progress on that game was done on the PlayStation 3. It wasn't done on PC, and now I have it on the PC, but I haven't actually progressed very far, so I should actually probably do that. But I can cover most of it based off of what I already know from PS3. In closing, the channel should have a decent amount of content put up in the next couple of weeks, if everything goes according to plan. So, stay tuned.